What's up, guys? I'm with Julio right here. So how long have you been living in Tijuana, Mexico for?
For a little over 10 years, January 6th, 2012. That's when I first came back to live here.
Okay, nice. And are both your parents Mexican?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So what is life like living here as a Mexican American in Tijuana, Mexico?
In general, it's great. But I mean, as we're about to get into it, it's specifics that kind of teeters whether between being great and not so great, and somewhere in the middle.
Okay. What are some of the experiences that have been great, and then what are some of the other experiences that haven't been great?
Having the opportunity to work in the United States, making American dollars, and then having, being able to spend it out here.
Yeah.
That's the great part. And then the food.
Of course, yeah. The food out here is great.
And the women for sure too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a Mexican American, what difficulties have you faced while living in Tijuana?
Gringo prices.
Oh, so people put gringo prices on you.
When they hear your accent, they know that it's not a straight up Mexican accent.
Yeah.
So they automatically think, okay, this guy's an American. Let's see what we can push with this guy. Let's see what we can get away with. How much money we can get out of this guy.
Is this a common occurrence?
It used to be.
Yeah.
When I first came here, now not so much, because I mean, yeah, of course, obviously, anytime you meet someone new, you still hear my accent. My American Spanish accent is not going to go away ever, I don't think, unfortunately. But I mean, at least now I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I know how to let them know, like, yeah, I might speak English, I might be American, but like, I'm Mexican just like you. Like, you can't play me for a dummy anymore.
Okay, so that has happened in the past. Have you ever felt like people looked down on you for being Mexican American while being out here?
Not really. Maybe if you start talking about how right you are, they might look at you like, oh, well, you think you're shit because you're an American. But in all honesty, it's all about which we're gonna get to in later, in later interview. It's all about education, the kind of education that I received. It's not the same kind of education, unfortunately, that a lot of my fellow Mexicans received here.
Okay.
So that makes a big difference.
What was your best moment where you thought, as a Mexican American, okay, this is awesome, while being out here? Just like, or maybe multiple moments. I know you mentioned like there were a couple things, like advantages.
Honestly, it's the money.
Yeah.
Having the money to do whatever you want, to eat out every day if you want.
Yeah.
Going to the gentleman's club, that, whatever you want if you have the means.
Yeah.
Just having the money.
Okay. What has there ever been a situation that you were out here and you were like, man, you know what? It kind of sucks that I'm a Mexican American being out here in Tijuana. Have you ever had, or multiple moments where you just felt like, oh man?
Maybe yes, because before we get more into the interview, I just want to clarify. I'm from Tijuana. I was born here. Yeah. Until the age of 7 years old. Then I moved very briefly to California, Oceanside. Yeah. And then after that, I was I moved over to Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah. Where I was educated. My adolescence was there. Yeah. Far away from the Mexican culture. Okay. And so being different in that way, being back here, a lot of times talking to people, talking to women, talking to men, whoever, they look at me like if I'm a weirdo because I just have a whole different mentality from the rest of people. Okay. How? Okay. I was gonna say that's the only thing, is maybe having a different mentality, that it kind of worked against me sometimes from them thinking that I'm a weirdo. So because of you spending all that time in Jacksonville, Florida, what are the exactly, what are the biggest differences, or what are some of the biggest differences you notice living in Jacksonville, Florida and being out here? Well, in general, living in the United States and living in Mexico, well, for one, the South is the South, like...
South as in where?
South Jacksonville. It's there in the Florida-Georgia line, very southern raised. I say sir, I say ma'am to everyone. That's just the way I was raised. Yeah. And out here in California, Southern California, and here in Mexico, you don't really say sir and ma'am that much. So sometimes people are kind of like look at like kind of like, oh, you don't gotta call me. Like it just happened right now. Actually, the guy told me, don't call me sir, man.
Oh, okay.
You know, so things like that.
So you're used to addressing people by sir, ma'am,
for sure.
Because of being from Jacksonville,
Florida. Southern raised,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, nice. When you meet other Mexican Americans out here, is there any connection or conversation that you share with them that you typically don't get to share or feel with other people?
Yeah, talking about football, American sports, basically, you know, the Dodgers, the Raiders, you know, American football. They already know what you're talking about as soon as you start talking about sports.
Yeah.
And besides that, not really. I mean, we're all, if you're Mexican, if you got Mexican blood in you, then you're Mexican. You go by a different set of rules than basically everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, what's understood don't need to really be said.
Yeah.
So I never really went over.
Yeah.
You know, we never really talked about what it is like to be Mexican American living in Mexico, because like we're Mexican. We all have family from Mexico at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was always thinking like the Mexican American, or even the Mexican who's originally from Mexico and lives and works in the United States.
Yeah.
Like that's
like
in total, when you think about all the money that comes into Mexico, that is one of the biggest amounts of money, maybe the biggest amount of money in Mexico. All the Mexicans who work in the United States and send money over this way, or the Mexicans who work in the United States and cross the border every day.
Yeah.
Because they're bringing all that money from the United States and they're bringing it down here. They're easily, like, in terms of like the groups of people who like affect that make a major effect on the economy down in Mexico. They're easily like the top three, maybe,
especially in TJ, but now more than ever, all parts of Mexico, because there's a retirement crisis, I believe, in the United States.
Yeah.
I believe Social Security is dwindling.
Yeah.
So a lot of Americans, not just Mexican Americans, I'm talking about white, as you would call gringo Americans, are coming down here for retirement. Before, I think people used to go to like Asia, Thailand, Costa Rica.
True.
But now, people are really starting to look at Mexico more than ever now, especially ever since that pandemic happened. So it's not just Mexican Americans not bringing the bread to Mexico. Now it's white Americans also.
A lot of Americans, period, from just working, whoever works in the United States. Have you ever lived in California at all?
Oh.
Yeah?
Well, for a short time.
Yeah.
When in my youth, right before I moved to Florida, but I mean I was a kid. So but then also when I first moved over to Mexico from Florida, I spent a short time in San Diego. Then I realized, man, this ain't it. I can do so much better in Tijuana, my hometown.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really never really contribute. I mean, I pay my taxes in California, but that's about it as far as my contribution to the United States. That's it.
Okay.
Because all the money I make, I spend here.
If in all your experience being down here, do you think there are more advantages of being white, black, Asian, Arab, Middle Eastern, Indian, whatever other ethnicity you can think of? Is it better to be another ethnicity?
Other than being Mexican American?
Other than being Mexican American. Do you think it's better to be another race, or do you think a Mexican American is like the top?
In the long run, being Mexican American is the best, because in the short run, you could be a white guy, you could be a black guy, of course,
or an Asian guy.
Or Asian guy. Of course, there's going to be a certain like a first attraction. Yeah. But then again, after a while, Mexican people kind of tend to want to be with Mexican people. Yeah. That's just natural. That's just like natural. Human nature. Yeah, it's just natural. Because like I said earlier, what's understood is understood. Yeah. Don't really need to be said. Yeah. So I mean, I've met a lot of black and white guys, Americans. Yeah. That they come here and at first they love it. Yeah. But then after a while they realize, like, unless I really find that one girl that's down for me. Yeah. I mean, what's the most I can do here? Fucking spend money at the famous strip clubs. Eat out every day. It's rare to find a real connection with the real Mexican national that's not Mexican American. Yeah, that makes sense. It really does make sense. You always have these foreigners, whether whatever they are,
whatever they are, white, black, Asian, Indian, you know, Arab, Middle Eastern.
Yeah, you know, one thing about that, you can flash, you can be a foreigner, you can flash your money, and that can go for a while. But at the end of the day, like Mexican people are actually very prideful. And I know Mexicans get a bad rap in the States or maybe around the world for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, you know, Mexicans kind of lead the way for Latinos worldwide, honestly. Like, because at the end of the day, we're old school for the good and the bad, which means the men are expected to be workers, never complain, and just do your shit, take care of your business.
That's a good attitude.
And that's the attitude of most Mexicans. You know, like it's very rare to find homeless Mexicans anywhere you go because
very true.
They get shamed by their family, by people, other Mexicans. Like, man, what's going on with you, man? Like, what's up? What do you need to get yourself out of the situation? Because you're making us look bad.
That's very good. That's very insightful. I agree with you. As you said, foreigners can come down here, like white guys, black guys, Asians from the United States. They can come down here, they can flash their money, they can go hang out with all these strippers and act like ballers. But at the very end of the day, the people who have the true, most meaningful connections with them are their own people. All because of the language, because of the culture.
What we've been through as a people. It's not easy being Mexican. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, Mexicans are just hated on for whatever reason. Honestly, I think it's just pure hate. I don't want to say they're jealous of us, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, like, we just don't care. I mean, you can say whatever we want. We know who's who.
You know, there's
when it comes to the Latino community, that's what I'm saying.
There's also probably a lot of hate because the Latino communities are very
We're
tight.
Taking over, baby. What's up?
They're very tight knit. They have good family values. They have good traditional values, and you see a lot of the world, especially in first world countries like the United States, like the United Kingdom. They're losing all their family structure. Like, families aren't families anymore. Latin,
that's their fucking
problem. Latin families are still together. You know,
for better or for worse, still together.
So my question to you then, because you want to elaborate on Mexico and its potential. So as a Mexican American, what are your thoughts on Mexico and its potential that you want to talk about?
There's 3 things that Mexico lacks. Education. And you guessed it, education.
Okay.
Which breeds confidence. One thing, I believe that's one of your next questions, is what one thing that disturbs me about Mexico and its people is a lot of our men you can see walking with their fucking head down. I hate that. God, I hate that. And
can you explain that? What do you mean by walking with their head down?
Like, very passive behavior.
Passive behavior, okay.
I can't stand it. I hate that. And because a lot of us, not all, but a lot of us are like born soldiers. Like our anthem says, un soldado en cada hijo de Dios, which translates to God gave us a soldier in every son. Which is true, because we all have that inner soldier. Because we gotta believe. Let's not forget, guys. You know, a lot of Mexican descendants, like myself, we're descendants from warriors, and a lot of people kind of forget about that. Kind of like with the black race. A lot of black race and a lot of black people from Africa come from warrior tribes. And it's like they forget about that. You know, from over the years, you know, I'm not here to talk about that topic, but I realize and I understand, and I have a lot of empathy for that, because I kind of, certain way, the black struggle is similar to the Mexican struggle. Besides a few minor or really actually major differences, you know, mentality-wise. Let's be real. But
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I really like it, as long as you can spill out like the true passion in your beliefs and your what the realities that you've lived as a Mexican American in Tijuana, and overall your perspective on everything.
Which, by the way,
Yeah,
let me
like
remind the audience, I was raised in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval
Yeah.
County, so I have a lot of experience with
Yeah.
black people, so I can say that with 100% honesty
Yeah.
and 100% confidence. So if anyone disagrees with me or anyone wants to right, anything I say in this video,
Yeah.
if anyone disagrees with me, which, by the way, if anyone disagrees with anything I say or has a different perspective of anything I say, please comment, because I want to, because I want to
Okay.
hear what you have to say, and I'll probably respond to it.
Okay, great. So, unless you have anything to add, my last question would be, what would you tell a Mexican American who wants to move down here from California, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, wherever he or she is? What would you tell them?
I think everyone has to really experience things for themselves, because I think everyone's experience is different. Like, for example, me, myself, I don't like to think I'm above anybody else, but I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. I was in the military. As soon as I turned 18 years old, I went straight to the Air Force. I was actually a professional boxer at one point in my life.
Wow.
I worked construction since I was 15 years old in Florida. So I have a lot of experience in my life. I've seen a lot of things. Met a lot of people. And plus, I'm a Sagittarius, so, shout out all the Sagittarians out there. We the best, whatever. And I'm a rabbit in the Chinese. If you're in the Chinese zodiac, I'm a rabbit, which we're also the best.
Okay.
So it's like,
Nice.
I have a unique perspective.
Yeah.
But in general, to other Mexican Americans that I think will be making a move back here eventually.
Yes, absolutely.
Because let's be real, all Mexicans, they go to the United States to work just to come back here. I would say, man, just make sure you're good on your money. Practice Spanish.
Yeah.
And everything will kind of fall into its place.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's nice. Have you ever felt that Tijuana has been dangerous since you have lived here?
You know what? I've been here for over 10 years. No, not really. I mean, in Mexico, we're very hot-blooded. I've been to a few fist fights with a couple dudes on the street.
Where were they from?
They're Mexican.
Okay.
They're Mexican from here. Because back in Florida, I used to, fight with fucking straight-up Puerto Ricans basically all the time, blacks, all the time. But now that I'm back here, I fought nothing but Mexicans.
Yeah,
so.
it makes sense.
So we're
seeing as you're out
fighters.
here.
We're fighters at heart. And so I guess just a real man walks away.
Yeah.
And that's but no, I guess more advice for Mexican Americans is money, and just understand that you're Mexican, but it's like this is real Mexico.
Yeah.
This is like cutthroat right here. This ain't the United States.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
not. It's a whole different world out here.
Yeah.
Whole different world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good and the bad.
Yeah. Hey, Julio, I want to thank you so much for this interview.
No problem.
Hit that like button, please subscribe, and I will see you soon. This was a Mexican American's perspective on living in Tijuana.
All right.
Take care, guys.